Hey guys! Today I'm so happy to share this secret project I've been working on for a while now. I'll be showing you how I created the original character of content creator and virtual streamer HachiPaws. While I really do enjoy making characters from games and anime that you all love, my favorite commissions will always be making original characters or OCs because it's so much fun interacting with clients when they introduce the characters that they made. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. As you can see, Hachi is very colorful and her outfit is quite detailed, so I decided to share my process from the beginning to the very end. Right now, I'm creating the body, and like with all my chibis, I make the torso first before proceeding to the legs. I make sure that all body parts are already dry before I add armature wire to avoid squishing the body parts. Although, I am guilty of being impatient and oftentimes I would stick the wire even if the clay is still soft, so if you're like me, just be very careful. But ideally, just let it dry first, okay? So, I know some artists don't bother creating underwear for their characters, but if they're wearing a skirt, it's definitely a must. I don't want them to be naked underneath. Here I am making her Japanese uniform type skirt. I can't tell you guys how many times I recreated the skirt because it was just so hard. Initially, I wanted a long sheet of clay that I can manually fold, but sometimes simpler techniques are better as long as you can still achieve the look you're going for. And here's some of my failed attempts. To finish her high-waisted skirt, I'm adding this strip of clay on top before adding more details like the lining on her skirt. For this, I'm just using a light blue-green paint and a very thin brush. Afterwards, we can move on to the rest of her outfit. Starting with a light gold piece of clay for her top, I'm shaping it like the top of a heart, and I believe this is what you would call a sweetheart neckline, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm adding more details to her outfit, and I'm using my favorite pair of tweezers to make it look ruffled. And then I'm going to add her pink color. I'm now creating her hands, which is my weakness, not just for her but in general because I'm still practicing how to make better hands for my chibis and figures. Here I am trimming off her hand or fist since she is wearing a pink jacket that will cover her arm. I'm not going to lie, I had so much trouble creating this character, but it's also a blessing in disguise because I got to use many techniques along the way and I get to share this process with you guys, so it's definitely a win. Oh, and again, I made sure the hand was already cured before I stuck the parts together. Here I'm just adding more fluff to her jacket. Lots and lots of fluff. Time to get started on her shoes. Or wedges, I think. They look like sandals, but they have a platform, so I don't know what it's called. Someone please teach me about fashion. So another part here was making the laces. It's tricky to make thin details with air dry clay, but I'm happy I was able to manage it. Like I always say in my videos, these details for the figures take such a long time to create, but it's always worth it in the end. Every time I finish figures as detailed as this one, I truly feel accomplished because during the process, it can feel never-ending. I just make sure I focus on one detail at a time. Now we can move forward to creating her hair. So I'm going to start with the base of her hair before adding her bangs. This is how I connect the first layer of hair to the base of her head with my tool. Oh, and here's a quick way to create braids. You just need 2 long pieces of clay that are folded in half, then twist one piece towards the left and the other towards the right. So they're in opposite directions, then stick them together to create your braid. I'm just trimming out the edges and it doesn't matter if it's kind of pointy since I'll be adding the tip of her braids later. Right now, I'm close to finishing the rest of her head. This is the final layer before we can work on her bangs that I have right here. So I just stick them on and then make sure to blend everything together with water or alcohol and smooth it with any tool. Even your fingers can be used for this. Next, I'm working on her tail, and I'm doing that by shaping a big piece of clay before adding smaller pieces to it to give it some dimension and make it look fluffier. You can make it fluffy by adding strands or even using very fine scissors to cut some strands. It doesn't have to be too much, especially since I'm just copying the reference photo. Once that's dry, we can paint all the other details. Oh, and one more thing. With this character, I actually used my silica sand a lot since many of the parts needed to be dried before I could attach them. So that's why I think this figure took longer than most, because I really had to wait for everything. With air dry clay, you need to have the patience not just for creating details and body parts, but you also need to be patient in waiting for the pieces to dry so you can use them. Which is why I'm so glad silica sand exists to help me out during the humid times here. As you can see, I'm adding more details to the chibi. If it's something that can be created using clay, that will always be my priority. But if it's like the inner part of the ear, you can always just pull that off using paint. So here's another example of me waiting for the pieces to dry. I added the base paint to the tail and waited for each layer to dry before adding the next one. Once that's done, I went ahead and added the tail, and I'm also adding the other details of the figure. Like I said, it had a lot of little parts to work with. Of course, we can't forget her hair clips that truly add to her personality, especially this feather clip. And for the base, I used a piece of wood to turn into a fluffy cloud for her to stand on. Now that everything is done, I went ahead and added some final details to her hair and blush. And we're finished! Here she is with her spirit pets as well. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please consider subscribing. Check out all my other videos. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Share with your friends. Gosh, so many instructions. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.